Okay, so once you've signed up, you'll be logging to this screen first, and we'll start with the courses. All right, start with stage one. And there's 4 lessons, and this is broken down into 2 other sections, the interactive audio course and then the language and culture. And they sort of complement each other. And the audio is just basically a linear audio course, and the language and culture is much more interactive. There's a lot more stuff on there. Like I said, it really goes over what you've learned in the audio. So let's start with 1.1 introductions. All right, it basically looks like this. You've got a sound file. You got the full audio, which is a detailed explanation of what you see down here with the text, and then you just have the conversation, which is literally what they go over. You can download the audio file. You can either burn it to CD or put it to an iPod. So let's do this. Let me play you the conversation.
Hola Mauricio.
Hola, Amy. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien. ¿Y tú?
Muy bien.
Yeah, like I said, you have the English and you got the Spanish here, and you've got the extra vocabulary. And this also, like I said, this also goes over in the full audio. There's a quiz, which once you've done it, you can see how you've done, and there's a notepad. All right, and like I said, there's other lessons for just the audio course for this stage one here, and introductions expanded, perfect coffee, taking a photo, family status, and you got the language and culture. Let's show you this real quick. How to pronounce Spanish words. And like I said, it goes into a lot more depth than just the audio. And you get these little sound files here. And there's a ton of these. Look at this.
Dar.
See? And it's just a short little thing
Dar.
that you can sort of play over and over again. And like I said, there's a ton of these.
Esta.
See? So you get, like I said, you get an explanation and you get some interactive audio stuff. In addition to that, you get a thing on culture. Some of these other ones are much bigger than this. A quiz and notes. All right. And like I said, that was just the number 1.8. And there's, like I said, peoples and places and things, using the and a. And like I said, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. All right. Let me go back a bit now. And like I said, that was just the first one. And there's more for stage one. Let me jump to stage 2 now. And let me just show you real quick, socializing. And the same similar deal. There's an audio course. I'll show you that real fast. Same deal. See, it's much longer now. You can download it. You get the long version or just the conversation. And then stage 2, you got the whole section on language and culture, irregular verbs. Let me show you this real quick. Like I said, there's a ton of these little sound files here. I mean, like I said, there's a lot to go through here. And a similar deal, you've got a culture, and this goes into, specific things. And like I said, you get these other lessons in language and culture, stem changing verbs and present irregular verbs. And let me just back up a little bit. And like I said, this is stage 2, and there's a whole bunch of these things. All right, this is cool. The Mega Spanish. And there's some software here that there's a PC version and a Mac version. Let me show you the Mac version. This is really cool. All right. This is sort of like the Rosetta Stone software, where you can really interact with it, and it's its own little application, so you don't have to be online to use this. Let me just show you a Mega Vocab right now. And what you'll do is you'll pick a category. See, and now what I'm going to do is match the Spanish to what I interpret in the picture. And obviously I have a translation right here.
Correcto.
See? To have just done. You see, that's kind of tricky.
Correcto.
See? All right, what's also cool is the Mega Vocab Creator. And with this, you can upload your own picture and your own text. So if there's any tricky words that you want to go over, you can do it right here. It's really nice. All right, let me go over Mega Audio. Same deal. I'll pick a category.
Ser.
See? And now what I'm going to do is pick the picture that matches what I've just heard.
Correcto. Ser. Salir.
See?
Equivocado. Correcto. Salir.
Like I said, it's very similar to the Rosetta Stone.
Conversar.
And this way you can really, sort of match up the picture and really, really sort of visually learn your Spanish. All right, the other thing is mega verbs. Like I said, you can go over present, past, or future. Okay? And basically, you'll almost be like conjugating the verbs and getting them right on the money. Like I said, it's a nice little application. You can just take it, put it on a laptop or something. It's really nice. You don't have to be online. And like I said, it really complements what you learn online with the Rocket stuff. Right? You also get a beginner's Spanish book that you can take with you. Like I said, you can also look at this when you're not online. All right, so continuing, let me back up a little bit. And you have the survival kit. Let me show you that. And like I said, there's bonus lessons here. Let me show you that real quick. Like I said, similar to what you have in the others. City life, clothing, colors, countries, food, pronunciation. And this is really cool. All right, mega cards. And like I said, the little flashcards. And what I have to do is I've got 15 seconds sort of to translate this in my mind. And you'll have the Spanish up here. And after 15 seconds, it'll show me the translations. So watch this. So go. Let me see. Hey, these pants are really tight. Hey, these grapevines sure do get tangled up pretty good. I have to go up as much as I can.
Tengo que subir lo más alto que pueda.
Okay. Well, that wasn't what I was guessing. So, yeah, like I said, do another one real quick. See? Like I said, it's really nice. There's about 152 of these, and there's some others too. Let me show you. And like I said, there's Mega Cards Advanced, and you've got another 106 right here. See? I don't even want to know what the translation of this is. All right, that was the course material, and now you have this thing called Your Motivation. And what they are like little text files that sort of keep you on track and keep you focused on learning Spanish. As an example, the 5-step Learn Spanish plan, and just give you tips on keeping to your Spanish lessons. There's a whole bunch of these too. You also have these Rocket Rehearsal self-tests, My Vocab Notes. See? And basically you get to reiterate and practice what you've learned. All right? You also have a thing called Your Community. This is really nice. And what is, they host some online forums for other customers of the Rocket Spanish stuff. And as an example, you can have a conversation in Spanish. Okay? So you can practice. If you also have like some questions on Spanish grammar, this is a spot where you can do it. And like I said, this way you can sort of interact with other Spanish speakers and really, really get the nuances of your language. All right, they have this other thing called My Vocab, and what this is sort of like a little notepad that you can sort of access anywhere within the course. And let me jump back here to here. Jump to here. Okay. As an example, let's say this word here. If I double click on it, this little thing icon pops up. And I can type in its meaning. Hello. All right. So now when I jump back to My Vocab, see, there it is. See, so like I said, I can save any tricky words that I have, and it'll always be right here.